his parking. The only problem was he took what was on the parking and he pushed everything to the north, which I don't know that that's in our best interest.
Well, he
But
did,
he's done a lot of work there, and I'm venturing with Grace saying that he'll clean that up because he's making everything look better there.
So is there a difference as far as licensing if you have a place that is essentially, you know, labeled as tire sales, where they're just putting tires on versus a full mechanics shop? I would think licensing would be different and there would be different state guidelines for doing full auto repair versus just swapping out tires. Is that a
And I
fair
think-
statement?
I think it's with the state, he would have different licenses. He would be zoned the same
Okay.
as far as we, the township, are concerned. He has complied because he was burying blacktop that was 1.5 feet thick, and I went and talked to him, and I did have Eagle stop and talk to him also, but he did dig all that blacktop back out of there, because he said the contractor was not supposed to do that, so he is complying.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, not all fill is the same.
acceptable.
Yeah, not all fill is the same.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people that try to fill
You know,
holes with the wrong things.
He is investing in his building.
Yes.
I mean, and to put 2 mechanics on, mechanics are well-paying jobs, so I think we,
I just wanted to make sure that we weren't
Let's
kind of
just,
dancing
let's give
around
him
that,
time to,
you know?
to see
Yeah.
what he does with them, because they're
I don't
just
think
pulled
they'll
up
be
to
there
the side.
long. He's got, has definite plans what he wants to do, and it's gonna look nice when he's done.
All right.
So it's still trying to work with getting chickens removed off of Linwood Road.
What's wrong with the signs on Best Choice Pizza?
What's that?
What's the problem with Best Choice Pizza?
Oh, the pizza place?
I don't know, is it on?
Listed here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just says signage questions regarding Best Choice, so.
This was a list that come with his bill and his mileage, and was giving comments of what he stopped and talked to the people about. So
Mhm.
apparently the pizza place had questions about their sign, and he stopped and talked to them.
As we talk about that, R&W filed a complaint. And the complaint was about the property owner on the corner of Schmidt and M13 having over a dozen tires stacked up against R&W's fence.
Well, they had some pallets stacked up there too, and I told him that that really wasn't our jurisdiction, that he has to,
Yeah, but
we
that's-
don't have the jurisdiction because it's leaning up against his fence.
But you're not exactly supposed to have a dozen scrap tires stacked up against your property line either. In
That's
a
true.
residential neighborhood, they don't have a business.
And it was pallets when he come and talked to me.
Yeah, well, when he stopped on a Friday, and I left the complaint form out there, Mulder's dropped it off here, and he said, if I had a dozen tires sitting out there, you'd be on me. And he said it'd be nice if that was cleaned up. And when I went by there yesterday, the tires are still up against the fence.
I'll have to check with Fred, because the complaint probably went to Fred.
So what ordinance then are we utilizing to try to apparently force the removal of the chickens? I mean, how is the zoning administrator involving himself in that situation to try to get them to remove the chickens? Just
Well,
curious.
if it isn't the right lot size, if it's not farmland, there's a lot of things that you can't just put chickens like out that window. It's gotta fit a certain ordinance.
Limited number. The
Okay.
limited number.
Okay.
Yes, and it is a limited number.
Comfort chickens?
They had a problem on Bissett Beach.
There's a lot of people doing chickens now, a lot of people, and they seem to multiply very
Yes,
rapidly.
there's one on Jose Road that's slaughtering them too, so we're working on talking to that guy also. I think he's slaughtering more than chickens. Anyhow, I approve the communications.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
We did that already.
Opposed, same
It
sign?
was Sam and Sherry the first time, and then the past one, so.
All right. Public input.
Good place to stand, or?
Right
the mic.
there.
Oh, at the mic. All right,
Yep.
very good. My name is Paul Young. I live in Grand Blanc Township in Genesee County. So you may ask what brings me to Bay County. To introduce myself and let all of you know that I am running for Congress here in Michigan's 8th District. As probably most of you know, the 8th District is all of Genesee County, all of Saginaw County, all of Bay County, and most of Midland County. Our current member of Congress from this 8th District is Dan Kildee. He is a Democrat. I am the Republican that ran against Dan last time. I came up just a little bit short. But Dan announced just about 6-8 weeks ago that he will not be seeking re-election, so we will have a new member of Congress from Michigan's 8th District. I have thrown my hat back in the ring, and so I hope that I will earn the opportunity to be your representative in Congress. Just a little bit of my background and about myself. I was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan, so you can guess who I might be rooting for in the big football game tonight. I'm a 5th-generation Michigander. I've got Spartans and Wolverines in my family. I've got Democrats and Republicans, union members, folks in all kinds of lines of work, teachers, all kinds of things in my family from here in Michigan. My dad worked in the automobile industry and then eventually started a company that maintained military family housing. So we would bid on jobs on Army, Navy, and Air Force bases all over the country, and we'd maintain the homes that our military personnel and their family lived in. I'm also an attorney, and I was a county prosecutor for a while, especially working in a domestic violence unit and working closely with our law enforcement, which is an organization I absolutely support. And then finally, as a matter of introduction, I would say that should I get elected and be your representative in Washington, I've worked on Capitol Hill. I was an investigative counsel for Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa. I also worked in the Department of Homeland Security working on border and immigration issues. So especially as I address a board of elected officials in the community, I want you to know that it's my pleasure to meet you tonight. I hope to get to know you better during the course of the campaign. And should I be elected, I look forward to getting to know, listen and learn and know the issues you're facing so that I can be your voice in Washington. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
So my wife, Brad Eddy, 1890 South Huron Road, she planned on being here, but my son fell ill. I ran across some documents today, or I had them printed, run across them last week, that I talked with you last week, Sam, that I think would help with some flood issues that I have. Ordinance number 12. And an amendment to that ordinance is ordinance number 92. Now these have to do with flooding and floodplains. The other ordinance, and that has to deal with the field and the drainage next to me. The other ordinance is the land division ordinance, that is ordinance number 98. Now I never knew this township had a land division ordinance, so after going through some voice recordings, my wife and I felt that these needed to be played for the citizens and the board so that you understand why we have a water problem. So I'm asking for somebody to aid in my wife's 3 minutes because she planned on being here. This is the voicemail left by a
I got all the wire, he said it was lifted out, and they took pictures around the property line. I'm not a student.
So that person who took pictures around the property line was Jessica Braggle Wieland. That was an hour and a half previous to him calling me and leaving me this voicemail.
Next message. I just want to tell you what I'm doing for this room. That's it. I got all the wire, he said it was lifted out. And they took pictures around the property line. I'm not a student, that could be your mother's property. That's no big thing there. If you come on my property illegal and you don't even own the other property yet. So, I on the first lawsuit, that your father-in-law and you, that's taking your advice, we got that taken care of. Then also, we got an instruction to get split and your mother on the property. So if that don't get sold, we can tie you up in court, but as long as you want to spend money with a lawyer, that's the way you want to be, you don't talk. Okay? You want to think about it, then we can talk about that in a minute. Other than that, I'll have you spend money with your lawyer. That's what I got your wife.
Call my wife.
Yeah, look at that, Stuart.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
This is in the township hall.
You start the game, I'm just playing it.
Man, this ain't no game.
Yeah.
This is
It's a game now. It's gonna cost you money. You're gonna spend money with a lawyer. Guaranteed, 100%.
You gotta spend money with lawyers for anything.
I know.
But I don't get what you tell me I did wrong.
Right.
If that property is ours on the other side of that ditch, what did I do wrong?
What is not yours, your mother's. When your mother say, okay, this is where this piece of property comes, it does us no good because there's the ditch. Would you buy that from us? I would say yes. You buy that piece of property.
Trying to buy it.
Dan, I come in here to try to get us change the name to Eddie Brothers LLC. For the zoning, they told me I couldn't do it because I had 8 acres and I needed 10 for zoning. That's how this whole thing started, is they told me in there, I got copies of the zoning, and I'm trying to apply for a dealer's license for the state of Michigan, for Eddie Brothers Incorporated to go to Eddie Brothers LLC, and they wouldn't let me without 10 acres. So then I said, how do I gotta do it? They said, you gotta apply for a special use permit. Okay, that's what I gotta do. And then I go to the bank to get a loan. They said they won't loan on a piece of property without a survey and an environmental, phase 1 and phase 2 environmental test. So I have both people that have been in there doing it. The phase 1 environmental has been getting done. They're gonna come in and drill for the phase 2. That's all that I'm trying to do. They have to drill whatever is on that 8 acres.
All right, but then why did you go to contaminate that back little piece?
I didn't contaminate anything.
How'd you get back there?
I came down the easement to get to it.
And you got rights to put trailers back there.
My mom gave me permission to put a trailer back there in cars so that we knew that we had legal grounds.
And you teamed up with your father-in-law?
I didn't team up. He got paid.
Yeah, all right, cool. Well,
Yeah.
he's gonna get paid some more or whatever. No, that's
Yeah, there's no.
fair, Brad. I don't know.
Did you say I'm gonna get trespassing? Dan, a trespassing?
No, I'm not doing nothing, but I'm just gonna make sure that you spend money with a lawyer. So we're gonna make sure.
You're gonna make sure. And how does my ditch drain now?
That's your water. I could care less. You're the one that put the plan back on it.
You're the one that put that post on Eddie Brothers property, right?
No?
Right?
Well, I don't know where the property line was. That's all
You
right.
did too. Apex told me. You went out there and you know where those stakes were.
That's what we're gonna get down with lawyers in court. You locked it out, you didn't want the pumps running, so we told you to do something. Now it's gonna get a court deal. Now you're gonna spend money to get rid of the water.
To get what, justification?
Yep, exactly. That's what they call lawyers up for. Yeah, everything.
Why did you pull a culvert that give access to that property on the other side of the ditch right after you found out the survey?
Because the guys in the own the junkyard go out there and spend and make.
So the guys who own the junkyard, the definition that we've been trying to figure out, okay? I noticed there's 2 people in the background here that ended up, the person who tiled the field into our ditch is the Cruz family. Dan Whelan had them tile the field into our ditch. So the pump station that was put on our property, the power pole to run the pump station was put on our property. Calcallan Township brought a lawsuit against the Eddies because of stuff that other people did. And then to know that John Class, Spicer Communications, when Dan Whelan said in 2015 that there was issues in Dennis Brago with the junkyard and salvage yard, John Class was talking with Spicer to change our definitions, change who we are. Dan Whelan just told you who we are in that. He said junkyard. He says junkyard 14 times in different communications. You know who's making money here? Me and my wife have lost $150,000 in legal fees. That guy right there is the one who makes money. And this is BS. We need to be back in business. And Sam, there was another knuckle who was on the planning commission at the same time the class was. And now I see that you're putting another knuckle on the board. Knuckles are related to the Whelans. The Whelans are the ones who threatened my wife in this. And anybody who wouldn't stick up for their wife or their family, it seems like a stacked board to me. This sucks. And I think all of you, I hope, got an eye-opener. Because this is why I'm running for politics. Because I hate politics. But you know what? I want to make a change. And I don't want this to ever happen to anybody again.
Thank you. Anybody else?
When will we know on the cemetery issues on when you're gonna allow cremations on the graves, and how many?
I can't tell you when. I can give you the ordinance that we're working under right now. But other than that, this isn't a question and answer, so if you
Right,
want
well-
to speak, I spoke to your wife and give her the options.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense with the way it is. So,
I can't help the way it is.
Well,
it
We're not
started
gonna get
in
into a debate. We're
21.
not gonna get into a debate. Here is the 2020,
2021.
2010 ordinance that we're working under right now.
A copy of that I can take, James can't though.
So I'll give you a copy of that, as long as you're here, but,
I
yes.
would like to speak, since
Is he done?
he's done right this second. So, when it comes to the cemetery, we said in 2021, we were going to go in, once we were adjusting the prices, and we were going to fix our cemetery ordinance. Because we knew then we had a problem. We knew then it was not user-friendly. And so since we knew then, and now we're looking at, we made the price adjustments, we said we were going to revisit it, we have not revisited it. If we are truly serving the people in this township, we need to go in and we need to amend the ordinance. Because it makes no sense that I own 3 4x12 graves, that's a 12x12 area, and I can only bury 6 cremains in a 12x12 area. That's insane. Now, I could put 3 caskets there and 3 cremains, but you will never bury more when our ordinance, actually, this ordinance says a grave is 4x8. This ordinance says. So when you sold me 3 graves, you technically sold me 4.5 graves. And since I was technically sold 4.5 graves, according to the ordinance, I can bury 4 bodies and 4 cremations. Because the ordinance says a grave is 4x8 feet. The ordinance, because the ordinance is law. The resolution, that's just a motion. The ordinance is the law. And we need to fix this law. We have families that it's creating hardships on, and it will be beneficial for the cemetery. As we go and we modify the cemetery ordinance, we opened a section up that should not be opened right now and needs to be closed. Because we don't even have it set up as to how the tombstones are supposed to be set up in that new section. Cemeteries are doing so that you can put the tombstones at the head of this grave, and the grave that's at the foot, it ends up at the foot of the grave. So it makes it easier for maintenance, reduces their cost, makes the cemetery more effective. But we continue to just say, well, you know, let's just leave it alone, and we'll set it up there, and it doesn't get touched, and it doesn't get touched, and the day, it's ineffective. It's ineffective whether it's a cemetery ordinance, or the trailer on M13, you name it. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. We have citation books that we're supposed to have citations written in the last 30 days, and not one citation's been written. And that's 6 months. That trailer's been there 6 months now.
30 minutes is up. Thank you.
That's okay. We'll talk about it in just a minute, something else.
I'm going to follow up with a comment, kind of dovetailing with what Charlie just said. We recently had an issue where I was trying to get a copy of our current trash ordinance. And I was provided some information from the treasurer, which I appreciated. What I was provided with is a trash ordinance from 1987. I believe there may be something in the 90s. It's nothing I've been made privy to. According to that 1987 trash ordinance, we should be charging everybody $13 and some change for trash pickup. This is based on a public act, which I can't get any information on whatsoever. I don't even know what it was based upon. I asked a specific question about Public Act 188 of 1954. That is what is required to do a special assessment on people's property, which trash pickup is a special assessment. You have to have special assessment rules developed. You have to have public hearings, and there are very specific rules that you have to follow in order to have a legal special assessment. I have not been given any information about how we're in compliance with PA 188 of 1954, which makes me think, based on the information I have right now, that the special assessments for trash pickup are not legal. I would love to be proved wrong, but I have not been. I do not believe that they were legally done based on the information I've been provided with and that I've had access to. I'm saying this because the ordinances need to be looked at. They are antiquated. I'm not even sure if they're based on fact. I'm not sure if where we are today is actually something that was done in a legal manner. And until I feel confident about that, it makes it very difficult for me to move forward in my position. I was here to represent the people, and I need to know how this board has been legislating in order to be able to do that. I have not been given that information. As such, I'm going to support Trustee Campbell and his request that we start opening some ordinances and looking at them to make sure that they're still appropriate for 2024, to make sure that we have done our due diligence, to make sure we are following the law of the state of Michigan. I think that is important, and I don't think that as an elected official you are doing your due diligence if you're not willing to do that work and make sure you're doing things the right way.
And the meetings need to be at a mutually agreed time, user-friendly.
You've spoken.
Actually, Sam, you really can't quite censor my speech. You could.
You
Your
had
3 minutes are up, though.
You had your 3 minutes.
Under public input. Let's talk about ball diamonds. Under ball diamonds, we have debris all over them that I would like to see cleaned up. It hasn't been cleaned up yet.
We are not going to talk about the old business.
No, that's.
The ball diamonds are talking about weed control, and we're going to talk about those in February.
Sam, just a moment. You do have it on the agenda, and there was a fireworks display that has left debris all over the park, and there's still debris all over. There's still little metal pellets, which I sent you a picture of, that I just took this past Saturday across the pickleball court, that you said it's okay, it didn't burn the court. But you know what? There's those pellets across the court. There's wires laying on the court. There's debris from the fireworks laying all across the ball diamonds that are coveted. So when is it going to get cleaned up? Because it's not.
It has been cleaned up.
No, it's not. I sent you the pictures from just this weekend.
That was the last 2 weekends.
No, that was this.
2 weekends ago.
I was just out at the
I was
diamond.
out there. I was out there, and they've been back and picked up all that stuff. Plus, we've had 30-mile-an-hour winds, so most of the cardboard is, it could be in the woods.
I'll go look again then. My apology, because it was a mess and it should have never happened. There shouldn't have been debris over the pickleball courts or the ball diamonds.
Thank you. Moving on to new business.
It does mention parking ordinance. It says hold, but we do have a parking ordinance. And since we do have a parking ordinance, let's deal with the ordinance that we have, and that way we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Once again, we can look at the ordinance and we can modify it to make sure that it includes tourist dwellings. We stated specifically what tourist dwellings needed when we passed our ordinance, And all we have to do is add that line into the parking ordinance so that we are covering our bases.